Naam, asante sana mtazamaji kwa kuungana nasi. Kipindi ni Michakato Majimboni. Tunaangazia masuala ya uongozi, usimamizi bora wa rasilimali. Vile wewe kama mwananchi unaweza ukashirikishwa katika uongozi, masuala ya wanawake na uongozi na mambo kama hayo. Kumbuka kuna madhara kadhaa ambayo yanatokea wakati uongozi sio bora, na tunayo katiba mpya. Katiba ikagatua mamlaka kutoka kwa serikali kuu hadi serikali ya magatuzi kujaribu tu kurekebisha haya madhara. Wewe kama mwananchi, je, unaelewa katiba mpya inakuhusisha vipi katika uongozi? Hayo yote tunaangazia. Wiki hii tuko katika jimbo la Kakamega. What comes to your mind when you hear Kakamega? Well, we have the largest sugar producing company in Kakamega, na tutaangazia hilo swala kwa kina zaidi. Swali nauliza kwa wakati huu ni Kakamega mureho? Alright, karibu katika Michakato Majimboni.
Mji wa Kakamega uko katika mkoa wa Magharibi nchini Kenya. Ni mji mkuu katika jimbo la Kakamega. Kulingana na uchunguzi uliofanywa mwaka wa 2010, jimbo la Kakamega lina jumla ya watu 1,660,651. Jimbo hili lina maeneo bunge 9 yakiwa ni Lugari, Mumias, Matungu, Lurambi, Shinyalu, Ikolomani, Malava, Butere na Huisero. Mapato ya jimbo hili hutokana na ukulima na madini ya dhahabu. Jimbo hili lina shule 460 za msingi. Wanafunzi wa shule ya msingi ni 219,734 na kuna mwalimu mmoja kwa kila wanafunzi 51. Shule za upili ni 145. Wanafunzi wa shule za upili ni 18,320. Vyuo vya masomo ya juu ni zaidi ya 12. Eneo hili lina hospitali moja ya jumla na hospitali 4 za wilaya. Kuna daktari mmoja kwa kila watu 14,246. Haya ni baadhi ya mambo yatakayozungumziwa katika kipindi hiki siku ya leo.
Michakato Majimboni coming to you from Kakamega County. We at Muliro Gardens. Ili tuangazie masuala ambayo yanahusika na uongozi mbaya, usimamizi wa rasilimali na vile wewe kama mwananchi wa jimbo hili unaweza ukashirikishwa katika uongozi. Tuko na washirika teule kutoka sekta mbalimbali na watatusaidia kujadili haya mambo. Asanteni sana, karibu kwa kipindi. Vile tutataja tu mwanzo ni mambo gani ama ni madhara gani ambayo yako kutokana na uongozi mbaya.
Poor sanitation, poor health facilities,
intellectual poverty,
drug and substance abuse,
poor water and sanitation problems,
illiteracy,
insecurity.
Asante. Upande mwingine,
lack of accessibility to government offices and the roads.
Tuko na uongozi mbaya.
Niulize tu swali, when it comes to your thinking and your perception, ukisikia uongozi si bora, usimamizi wa rasilimali sio bora, ni vitu gani ambazo ni vigezo ama zinakuonyesha uongozi umekuwa mbaya? Tuanze na wewe.
Kwanza ni vile uongozi wenyewe wanavyo implement issues ambao walikuwa wametuambia. Most of them don't implement those issues. Then two, you'll find that in terms of the integrity of the leaders themselves, they themselves are involved in businesses that hamper them from delivering services to mwananchi.
The leaders, they take, for example, CDF funds, which are for the poor, and they give to their relatives.
So what happens as a result of that? Perhaps
it doesn't help the poor students who are in need of the funds, and it leads to dropouts from school.
Barabara za jimbo hili ziko namna gani?
The drainage is so poor. Alafu wale viongozi wetu pia, once they are elected, hawarudi nyumbani pia kuona watu wao. It's like they are elected to go to Nairobi na kukaa huko. Wanarudi wakati ambapo wanahitaji kura.
If you just joined us, you're watching Michakato Majimboni, tukijaribu kidogo kuangazia masuala husika na uongozi mbaya ama uongozi bora, ni madhara gani ama yapi yale yanatokana na uongozi mbaya. Katika awamu ya kipindi hiki tutaangazia suluhisho haswa, viongozi ambao wako wakati huu wamefanya nini na wananchi wangependa kuonelea vipi. Jambo lingine ambalo when we were discussing this, the issue of high poverty levels came up, all right? There's the sugar industry here. How good or how bad is it affecting poverty levels here?
Kampuni ya sukari ya Mumias haitusaidii sana, kwa sababu wakati wakulima wanapanda miwa zao kwa mashamba yao madogo, hawataki kupimia miwa yao kwa zile mashamba, wanataka kupimia kwa kampuni, ambapo zile magari zao zinaangusha miwa. Zikiangusha miwa yako inapofika kule si yenye ulivuna. Hilo linaleta umaskini kwa kaunti yetu ya Kakamega.
I believe the sugar industry is a problem in Kakamega County because maize is proving to be a lucrative industry in Kakamega compared to sugarcane, because a maize farmer earns over 40,000 shillings per acre, when a sugarcane farmer earns only 4,000 shillings per ton of sugarcane, yet they spend a lot of money on the farm. The sugarcane farmers are actually paying a lot of VAT when the road networks is very bad. The communication system is in a deplorable state.
There's an issue I want to dwell on. Sugar farming in this region has been around for the longest time, but still bado tunasikiza hali ya umaskini imekithiri mno.
We are not condemning the sugarcane farming as such, but we are saying most farmers have now committed all their parcels of land on sugarcane production. Now, if you go by the circle on how long it takes for the sugarcane to be produced, you find that it will take not less than almost 2 years for you to get the returns. So what we are saying is that farmers should not just, concentrate on sugarcane farming alone. They can diversify and also plant some other food crops, such that while they are waiting for the sugarcane to receive the proceeds from it, they can still have food for the family. And then another thing that has contributed to high poverty levels in relation to sugarcane farming is because now families have fragmented their pieces of land until we have very small pieces of land which are not very economical or profitable. So there's a need for us as a county to come up or even advocate for a policy that will improve on the parcels of land so that they can be economical in terms of sugarcane production.
Some people up there are benefiting from the sugarcane because, for example, if I'm supposed to fetch like 8 million from the sugar that I have planted on my farm, you find that I'll get 1 million, but somebody else is going to get the 7 million. So you find the farmers' life in farming keeps on deteriorating because they don't get what they deserve. And this is because of, as we have said, poor leadership in the system.
There are several issues that are coming up. We've looked at the issue of poor leadership and governance. We've also dwelt on the issue of high poverty levels. And what's coming up is that there's no diversity. Mostly the farmers don't want to diversify to other crops. We'll be looking at that in terms of solutions. What can happen so that the farmers will change their perception in terms of a reliance on sugar farming. Natazama Michakato Majimboni. We are back in a moment.
There's been a lot of complacency in the sense that not the right people have been elected into leadership, because say either people are using money or sycophancy, ethnicity, and that kind of stuff.
Everything stands and falls on leadership. So even if we have so many resources, even if we have the human capital that we need, but the leadership is bad, then it falls.
Tunataka kiongozi mwenye anajali maslahi ya common man kama watu kama sisi.
Na asante sana, unatazama Michakato Majimboni. Tunakujia kutoka jimbo la Kakamega tukiangazia masuala kadhaa on leadership and governance, and several issues have come up, priority issues. We'll be looking at how the leaders have dealt with these issues, and how the people would want the leaders to deal with these issues, and how as individuals are they trying to help. Remember, you can be part of the debate. Join us on this debate by sending us an SMS to the number 300 to start with the letters MFA. Wale wako kwa Facebook, Facebook. Tutafute tu pale utapata Michakato Majimboni, www.facebook.com/Michakato Majimboni. On Twitter it's @media_focus, and give us your view either on this program or on the issues in your county or the issues in the county of Kakamega. Now back to the issues that we are dealing with. Several issues have come up. An issue on poor leadership, an issue on poverty levels. But before we come to that, how good or how bad is health facilities are in this particular region? Perhaps tuanze na wewe.
We lack personnel in our public hospitals, we lack drugs, we lack sometimes you go there and you're not even attended to, so that people are forced to go to private hospitals, but then the poor who cannot afford the private hospitals, you see they're having problems. The basic drugs, you find something like the anti-rabies. For those people who are poor, you go there, they are never there.
We have so many chemists running in Kakamega town. If you fail to get drugs at the provincial general hospital, you'll end up finding the same drugs in a chemist in Kakamega town, which is very bad because we pay so much money at the chemist when we are supposed to get subsidized drugs at the hospitals.
There's a very big gap in the health sector in Kakamega. You'll find that even the small money that the CDF brings to our constituencies, yes, they will construct a health facility, but the Ministry of Health at the local level will not be consulted. So tomorrow you'll be having a health facility or a dispensary in your area that has got no staff, that has got no drugs. It has not. We understand there are certain numbers they give so that they can be supplied medicine. So our leaders do not have a forum where they sit and see how well they can articulate issues of health within this region.
How have the leaders been addressing these issues apart from health? The other issues we talked about, the issue of poverty as well. How are the leaders handling this?
We can find, like through the CDF, we find that they're trying to create things like health centers. But now the health centers, it reaches a situation whereby the doctors they're employing there, they're deploying at the health centers, mostly are from the mission, the ones who have been trained like nurse aides. Now it becomes a challenge to the ones who have trained for the career now. And again now there's this issue again, like now what I'd like to urge our leaders is if they could come up and talk up with the Global Fund, because the Global Fund the other time they gave us some stress, especially on people who are living with HIV. They were saying they want to stop funding the Global Fund. Now the issue comes up, like the ones now who are getting the ARVs now. There are others who are now defaulting because now they are saying, since now we'll be buying the ARVs and they're very expensive, they can't manage. Now we want our leaders to come up, support us, talk to the Global Fund people so as they can continue supplying the drugs. And again, with the diabetes issue now, diabetes is very expensive. If they can also come up with a situation whereby even the diabetes drugs, they are being given free.
I haven't heard someone mention about how the leaders are dealing with all these issues and what you'd want done. For instance, the issue of drainage. Someone says that's a big problem. Hilo ni kero kubwa katika jimbo hili.
The issue of planning is very poor, and if I may challenge the council, the Municipal Council of Kakamega, to give us a plan, a strategic plan for this county, for this particular town. You'll realize that they'll tell you we are still working on it. But if we have a legal framework or a policy document that will help us look at where we are and where we are heading towards, you will actually see this town developing very well. But currently, as we speak, the planning process and the physical planning of this particular town is very poor.
What are we doing as individuals?
As communities, we've tried a lot to pressurize the leaders to take the initiative and make decisions on our behalf. But we believe some of the leaders have been compromised by a number of institutions which are very corrupt, creating problems in this county. For instance, there is no stormwater management system in Kakamega County. This is the only town that has more than 3 sewerage systems. One is at Shirere, another one is at Masinde Muliro, another one is at Maraba. But the people of Maraba have tried a lot to talk to the water service boards in order to make sure that the environment in that area is completely secure before they establish the sewerage system. But the water service board, because of corruption, they have actually refused. to make sure that the environment is sustainable as much as we are sustaining the development of this town. And therefore, there is a stalemate between the community and the Water Service Board and the Municipal Council of Kakamega, simply because there is no consensus, there is no consultation. Leaders just come up with projects and they want people to accept the projects just like that.
All right, I want us to shift gears a little to issue farming, sugarcane in this region. And as one of the participants mentioned, is that we have huge chunks of land that have been. Well, what you're doing is basically you're farming sugar. Why don't we have this diversity?
Our sugar companies have tried, but they have not gone that far. Issues like the apportionment of our land is too much. The bigger chunks of land that our fathers had are no longer there. So you'll find that most of your land, you have planted sugarcane. What we will simply ask is that if they can come up with extension services whereby farmers can be taught on what crops can be well intercropped with sugarcane for short-term gains, it will be better.
I must admit that the people have actually come out and taken initiatives to improve that condition. We have now women groups, we also have youth groups and other NGOs which are working with farmers, or rather with members of the community, and in their sessions they try to empower them. They also try to give them information and even encourage them to, diversify, not only just depend on the sugarcane farming. Research has shown from data that has been collected that you'll find that when you do sugarcane farming, the person who gains the most, and I pray that men, you'll forgive me, the men in Kakamega County, majority of them, okay, will disappear with the proceeds from the sugarcane. Some will go and marry again.
Is that true, gentlemen? That's what you do?
Okay, as I said, you're free to disagree with that, but that is what a study has shown. So what we are saying is that if we empower the woman, or if we have a platform whereby we can share this process from sugarcane farming, so that it benefits both the man and by the way, it's the woman who will stay on the ground and to do much of the work.
How conscious are our leaders about the issue of diversification from sugarcane farming to other crops? Are they telling farmers, look here, you can change this? Are they doing that?
Sometimes you need a little push to do a certain project. So if these people are told to diversify into other food crops, then we can put institutions and systems in place that will ensure that actually these farmers adopt that particular initiative, and that way it will improve the food situation in Kakamega County.
Most of the issues I've noticed that are coming up are the issues to do with leadership, but what are we doing?
We are having what we call public-private partnership initiative, which is actually working so well. So in this case, the government is working with the non-governmental organizations in this particular county to help farmers diversify. And in this case, we are talking of diversification in a number of value chains. To mention a few, right now we are having diversification on aquaculture, diversification on apiculture. We are doing things on local poultry production. We are also encouraging farmers to do tissue culture through the banana stems and others. There is a program, a big program, which is currently running in Kakamega County called the CAPAP program. This is the Kenya Agricultural Productivity and Agribusiness Project, which has actually mobilized so many farmers who are picking specific value chains that are diversifying what they are doing.
Many thanks for that. But what I've realized from the discussion here is that we seem to know the solutions. We seem to know all these solutions, all right? But how have you been participating in these issues of leadership, if at all you have been participating?
Ningependa kushukuru watu wa Civil Society Urban Development Forum. Wamekuja hapa Kakamega last year, wakajaribu kuchukua sisi watu wa civil societies na hawa watu wa municipal na serikali ili waone kama tunaweza kuja tukae pamoja, ndio kama kitu imetokea, kama tuseme venye tunaelekea maneno ya counties. Walikuwa wanaonelea kama msaada imeletwa, kama tunataka kutengeneza barabara, sisi wote hiyo involvement yetu ikuwe pamoja, isiwe ni kama ati ni serikali tu inatoka ile top bottom, wanataka itoke bottom top. Ndio maana wamejaribu kutuweka pamoja, tukae pamoja, tukiongea tunajua tunasonga hivi, lakini hapo nyuma ilikuwa tabu.
Kama kule ninakotoka Mumias, kiongozi wetu ambaye ni MP, this time he has changed because this time round he calls upon people, opinion leaders, other various types of leaders. We sit together and discuss over the issues affecting our people. And this has resulted into so many projects being implemented in Mumias. Just like somebody mentions, we have even gone as far as having these health facilities that are only now lacking professionals, and the doctors and whichever. So I can say that maybe we are having different type of leaders, and I can call upon we opinion leaders and other people just to join them, and we incorporate ourselves to move together as a team.
And finally, just before we wrap this up, I want to dwell on one issue briefly. How has the leadership in this particular region dealt with the issue of disability in terms of infrastructure and sort of making life easier for those that are disabled?
Persons with disabilities have been left behind. When it comes to issues with school, employment, we have a problem. They are not really involved. Okay, that is why many people with disabilities rush to Nairobi, involving them in many problems, and even youth with disabilities, they need to be involved very much in Kakamega County in issues with leadership. Right now, we still have a big challenge. Okay, we have funds which the government have brought for disability, but they are reaching to very few people with disabilities. They've started with only 10 people, and we have so many people with disabilities in this county who are really poor, suffering. They can do many projects, but they don't have funds. That is a big challenge.
Naam. Many thanks indeed for that, much appreciated. We are in the county of Kakamega, just looking at some of the ills that are associated with poor leadership and poor governance. Several issues have come up, the issues to do with high poverty levels, poor governance, the issue of health facilities, looking at what the leaders have done to sort out these issues. And if not done so, then how would the citizenry in this particular region want the leaders to handle this, and how as individuals they are handling these issues? You can join the debate, be part of this program by giving us your view. Tutumie ujumbe mfupi kwa nambari 3002 wazana herufi MFA. Wale ambao wako kwa Facebook ni www.facebook.com/Michakato Majimboni. When we come back, we have a clip of someone who is trying to look at leadership in a different line. His name is Humphrey Zalok. We'll be looking at that in more detail. Unatazama Michakato Majimboni. We are back in not too long from now. Na asante sana mtazamaji, kipindi unachotazama ni Michakato Majimboni, tukiangazia masuala ya uongozi na usimamizi bora wa rasilimali, na vile wewe kama mwananchi ukaweza ukashirikishwa katika uongozi. Tuko katika jimbo la Kakamega. Kakamega mreho? Natumai pia pale nyumbani ulipo. Basically, Kakamega Muriho stands for Kakamega mpo. Well, you can join the debate. Unaweza ukachangia kwa mjadala kwa kutuma ujumbe mfupi kwa nambari 3002 ukianza na herufi MFA. For those who are on Facebook, it's facebook.com/Michakato Majimboni. You've looked at several issues that have come up as a result of poor leadership, poor governance. During the discussion, what came up and it's about initiatives and what we as individuals can do to sort some of these issues rather than waiting on the leadership to come and sort them out. We have an example of an individual who has gone out of the way to try and solve some of the issues in this particular region, issues to do with drainage, issues to do with hygiene. Take a look.
My name is Humphrey Buradi Zadok. I work for an organization called Western Water and Sanitation Forum. I got motivated to come up with this project through the needs of my people. I stay in Kakamega, I live within this community, and the motivation itself came from what the people I live with were experiencing. We are running a program on water and sanitation, which is now joined together with hygiene. We call it WASH. We are also doing a program on gender and governance. We are also doing a program on food security. And lastly, we are engaged in programs that are dealing with the HIV and AIDS. And in this, we are also supporting orphans. We have been able to construct water facilities like the ferrocement water tanks in schools, which are now benefiting the children in those schools. Also, teachers are making good use of them. And at the end of it all, we have now managed to reduce the time girl children used to spend going to fetch water for teachers and for other use in school. And we feel that when we relieve them from that burden, they are able now to concentrate on education, and I'm very sure their performance has now started increasing. We have also protected springs, the natural water springs at the community level, which to me is a plus because the community is now able to access clean and safe water. We are currently focusing on value addition, and in this case we are doing clean meat production through local poultry. We have empowered almost 1,140 farmers who are engaged in local poultry production, and right now most of them are able to sustain themselves. They are able to produce enough that they are now selling to the market locally and also selling to the hospitality industry.
Humphrey amekuwa wa muhimu sana kwa maelezo yake, amejaribu kunisaidia vile naweza kuanzisha miradi kama hii ya samaki, ya kuku, na akaleta watu ambao wamenisaidia kwa kunieleza vile itanisaidia. Watu wa Kakamega Water Sanitation Forum imenisaidia kwa maisha, sikosi pesa. Watoto wangu wale wengine hawafanyi kazi au wanaenda college, hawakosi pesa hata kidogo. Challenges, kwanza setting bond ni kitu ambayo lazima upate wale watu wa kushauri vile itakuwa, tena wenyewe waje wa set, na wakisha set kuna natural disasters kama mvua. Kitu kingine ni huwezi kujua climate itakuwa namna gani, kwa sababu climate pia na samaki inasaidia. Ukosefu wa maji au pengine chakula gani lazima tuonyeshwe. Watu kama Humphrey wanahitajika kwa wingi kila sehemu kama hii yetu ya Kakamega. Watu kama hao ni watu wa maana, na nimeona umuhimu wa kuwa na watu kama hao.
My long-term vision for this organization is to see a better life for the poor and marginalized members of this community, and in this particular community I'm referring to is Kakamega County.
Well, That's an example of an individual from this particular region who's trying to come up with solutions to the issues that people are grappling with, the issues to do with drainage, food security. I want us to have a discussion on that. In your view, huo ni kiongozi bora ama ni mtu unaweza kumwangalia kama kiongozi? Tuanze na wewe.
Naona huo ni mfano mzuri wa uongozi kwa sababu ukiangalia kwenye ratiba yake jinsi alivyopanga mambo yake, anaonyesha mpangilio wa leo, kesho na future. Manake wameanzisha miradi kadha wa kadha ambazo zinaonekana practically na zinafanya kazi, na tungehimiza kama kungekuwa na mpango kama hizo mbeleni. We want such type of leadership.
To me, Humphrey is more better because most of our political leaders, if I may say, they don't put things into practice. My message to other leaders, they should come back to the ground, especially at the county of Kakamega, and waike mfano wa Humphrey.
To me, I describe Humphrey as a visionary leader. Those are some of the qualities that you'll need from a leader who has his people at heart. As we speak now, we don't have those type of leaders here. We have leaders who are self-centered.
What we need from our leaders is the practicability of it. Somebody must be practical, must reach on the ground, must see the needs of the people. First of all, you have to address the needs of the people, not the needs of the leader. So most of the time, we have been dealing with issues that are affecting the leaders other than the people. So that's why you'll find that despite the economic and the resources that we have within the Kakamega County, poverty is still a major issue.
All right, I want us to shift gears a little to talking about the management of affairs.